Herald Inaza will show you the way.
So, the great serpent sends you to me. Know, Husk, that to walk the serpent's path, to enter this sacred cave, there is no turning back. You will be forever changed. This is a path you must walk of your own free will, alone. Will you step forward and emerge anointed, one of the promised? You have not been filled with purpose by the great serpent, so you are merely a husk. But perhaps not for long. A lesson, a test, a moment for the great serpent to reach out and fill you with something more than what you have been. Those born to House Faroon spend every day surrounded by our history. The rituals that separate us from the husks happen naturally over time. You have not experienced that. Those who have not answered the serpent's call cannot coexist with House Faroon. And so, if you are to aid us in our time of need, you must become one of the promised. Then enter, and I shall guide you along the serpent's path. For this is a journey you must undertake alone. Your escort cannot follow. The path lies before you, but it is up to you to walk it. You must walk the path. I am merely here to guide you along your way. It has served more than one purpose for our people over the generations. For a brief time it was home, but then in his wisdom, Jinan Varun saw fit to turn it into a way for those outside House Varun to begin to learn, to join us in following the great serpent. That ended after the serpent's crusade. It feels right to see it used again now, in our time of need. The serpent's path will tell you what you need to know for now. After that, the council awaits. After that, I will be at the temple as I always am, and I will offer counsel as I would to any of the promised. I carry on the traditions that Jinan Varun began and maintain our people's connection to the great serpent. I and others like me look after the temples and offer guidance to those who need it. And now, it seems I am called upon to help the serpent's call fill a new vessel. Truly, I am blessed. A difficult question. The original converts were accepted in the years after House Faroon first made contact with the settled systems. Once the Serpent's crusade began, there were fears that anyone from the outside could be spies, infiltrators. And after the crusade, few were eager to join. When Jinan Varun's son Jarek took power, we pulled back, rejected contact with non-believers. We removed any avenues for converts to find us. But there were those among us who hoped that one day we might help others see the light of the Great Serpent's teachings. And if we can survive our current situation, your presence here now might sway opinions on future converts. Go on and continue to fulfill your holy purpose. Before House Faroon, there were humans. First on Earth, then scattered among the stars. And like all humans, they were lost souls, wandering in the dark, looking for a path. One particular colony ship housed several hundred of these souls. They were each alone and isolated, individual tiny flames that could be snuffed out at a moment's notice. But Jinang encountered the Great Serpent and was given the gift of knowledge. He shared his knowledge with those around him and lit the way for them. They followed his guidance and his light, and they cast aside the burdens of their former lives. And thus, House Faroon was born. Now you too have the chance to cast aside your burdens, to relieve yourself of anything that holds you back. The people's hopes and fears and dreams were entrusted to the Great Serpent. They made the leap of faith that brought House Faroon to greatness. You may now follow in their footsteps and take that same leap. Embrace the great serpent, and he will embrace you. The people of House Varun settled this world, at first in these very caves. Shinan Varun himself slept among them in these shelters. It was here that he spread the word of the serpent. It was here that the people of House Varun first understood the truth of their... place in the universe. And it was here that the people of House Varun first understood the truth of the shrouding. The great serpent's return. He will encircle the universe he created, and all those who do not follow will be cast into shadow. And the people weighed this knowledge against their former lives, and saw how they had been blessed despite the difficult new life that awaited them. You too would do well to feel that solace amidst the pain. Until that day comes, we are the voice and the hands of the Great Serpent. Our every act a sacrifice to hasten his return. Make now a sacrifice to prove your devotion. And remember, whether in life or in death, all must serve. Let us begin the final ritual. While none since Jinan Varun have stood before the Great Serpent, we can all feel his presence. To solidify this bond, you are presented this simple choice. Before you on this dais are several items. They represent different aspects of House Varun's connection to the Great Serpent. Pick the two that call to you. Place them on the altars. Offerings to the Great Serpent that he may fill you with his spirit and make you promise.
I have things I wish to discuss with you. When you have time. I am glad we have a moment. I am having trouble maintaining my composure. Finding myself in Dasra has been overwhelming. That is a complicated question. I am glad we have a moment.
So you arise.
I am
one of
having
the
trouble
promised of
maintaining my
House
composure.
Varun.
Finding myself
Did you
in Dasra
feel the
has
Great
been
Serpent working within
overwhelming.
you? Do you feel born anew? Through strength and perseverance, House Varun will triumph over all that stands in its way. I grant you the title of Vindicator. All will know you. All will trust you. Above us, in the grand ship morning, jewel of the Varun fleet, the High Council awaits your arrival. Serve them. Serve the Great Serpent. All must serve.
I am of course grateful to see my home again, after being away for so long. Although, the Great Serpent has always demanded much of us, as individuals, and as the whole of House Varun. But to see what has transpired here, it is hard to believe this is part of any plan. Truly, it is a disaster. That is an incredibly heartless view of the situation. Regardless, now that we are here, surely you must agree that we should do everything we can to help House Barun. In this case, I am very personally glad to hear that. It is an incredible commitment you have made to become one of the promised. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined such a thing. I am not sure, but what might have been does not matter. You are one of us now. I suppose that is true. All the same, I am glad to count you among us. I know we have much to do, but I did not want to leave it unsaid. Thank you. Always good to speak with a friend. Another time.
The serpent's path lies behind you, but will always extend ahead of you. Will you continue to see it? You are promised. You are one of us. All should treat you as an equal. That may be so for now. The Great Serpent has a plan for us all. We will see in time where yours leads. For the moment, the Council is awaiting your arrival. Yes, its final resting place is directly above, very near where it first set down on this moon. It was Jinan Varun's guidance that led us to this precise spot, where he knew there would be temporary shelter waiting. And after the Serpent's crusade, when the morning was damaged and would fly no more, it was only fitting that it return to this location. Farewell.
How may I assist you?
Yes?
You would speak with me?
May the Great Serpent bless you. No, it's complicated. Jinan Varun himself established the rules. Let me see if I can make it easy for you. The Speaker has supreme authority. He is the voice of the Great Serpent. The houses each handle some function of daily life and are individually run by the Elder of the House. Each of the houses also appoints a mediary to the High Council to inform and advise the Speaker. It's a separate position from the Elder, with a lesser degree of authority and prestige. Now is hardly the time to be entertaining such thoughts. Perhaps it keeps the Speaker free to concentrate on the larger issues, while allowing us some amount of control over our lives. Serpent guide you.
Hello, Vindicator. Welcome, Vindicator. You stand before what remains of the High Council, advisors to Anasko Varun. We are all that is left after the disaster that has befallen our people. I represent House Dulkef. Jamal is from House Kadik, and we are joined by Lovek of House Vital. We are, all of us, hopeful that your arrival in Dazra and your clear connection to Anasko Varun, for the first time in weeks, represent some semblance of hope. Collectively, we unite under the banner of House Varun, pledged to follow Jinan Varun and his descendants. But our society is not a monolith. Jinan, in his wisdom, shepherded the first of us into families that we might grow and prosper. Our 3 families have for generations now helped to govern the people of House Varun, and offer counsel to our leader. I understand. Until you were one of us, we could not trust you.
By all means, Malabor. I can't wait to see how you spend this.
Please, can we just for a moment...
Can we just for a moment what? Discuss whether or not to allow the first convert to House Varun since before any of us were born? A bit late on that, it seems.
You were not there. You did not see Anasko. It felt different. We have already wasted so much time...
You're correct. I was not there. Because you elected to travel to the spaceport on your own. And then decided this on your own.
Do not waste time with more bickering. Anasko, and by extension House Varun, suffers with every passing moment.
Of course, Lovek. My apologies. Please, Malabor. Do go on.
Anasko Varun, like his father before him, has relied on the teachings of Jinan to guide us. Anasko wondered if perhaps it was time to seek guidance directly from the Great Serpent, and so sought a means of reaching out.
Perhaps he found the teachings inadequate.
Careful, Kadik. You tread on dangerous ground.
I mean nothing by it. We simply were never consulted on the matter and do not know the full motive.
The point is that a series of experiments have taken place over the years, utilizing grav drive technology to hopefully make direct contact with the Great Serpent, similar to Jinan Varun's initial meeting.
And then something went wrong.
We do not know what happened. We were not inside the Scaled Citadel at the time.
Had we been, we wouldn't be standing here now. We'd be like the rest of them.
A great tide of energy emanated from the Scaled Citadel and swept across Dasra. Much was destroyed in its wake. Those caught in the blast have been left in a state of confusion, trapped halfway between our universe and the Vortex. The Citadel itself remains in such a state. Right there and yet beyond our reach. We can only assume that the experiment is still running, somehow preventing us from entering the Citadel. We cannot get in, so we cannot stop it. We were beginning to lose hope before you arrived. It has only been a few weeks. There had been efforts to put together some kind of response, some plan. But they had fallen apart. Forgive me, I am no scientist. But as it has been explained to me, what we call the vortex is the space between universes. Your arrival and your interaction with Anasco shows that he can still be saved. A plan had been devised to access the Citadel, but the work stalled. Clearly, it is time to move forward with it. The current head of our science team, Ekris, should be in Jinan Plaza down below us, towards the Citadel. Tell him about your experience with Anasco, and that work on the morning device must proceed. Good to see you. That depends a great deal on who you ask. Generations ago, we made a decision to pull back from the settled systems. Some amongst us saw that as a mistake, an abandonment of House Varun's true calling. The schism within our people grew until some took it upon themselves to leave and declare themselves the true descendants of Jinan Varun. They are, of course, factually wrong and incredibly misguided. Any decision about House Varun is the Speaker's to make, but Jinan Varun in his wisdom saw fit to create the High Council to help advise those decisions. We offer perspectives and opinions that can often contradict one another, which can ultimately help the Speaker to guide our people. Or, at least that is how it was before all this. Now, with the Speaker gone, we have temporarily taken over making decisions in his stead. Once this is all behind us, we can restore the intended order of things. Not long, though it feels like an eternity. Jamal and I had only been a part of the Council for maybe a year before all this, and we were only ever in subordinate roles. It has been quite a challenge to accept this new level of responsibility. Lovek, on the other hand, has served on the Council for quite a long time. He rarely lets us forget it. He has led House Varun since the death of his father Jarek. Is determined to return House Varun to glory. He believed he was on the cusp of realizing that goal, and now, well, you have seen him. I should perhaps not speak too much of it, but there has been concern that he was lost to us. Your interaction with him gives me hope. If you can hear him, he is not beyond rescue.
Yes? Did you require something? What may I do for you? Indeed, Serac was my cousin. I know they were assigned to the Oracle, and Malabor relayed their final report sent by the station. They walk with the Great Serpent now. Serac was a respected scientist, dedicated to the Great Serpent. They spent every moment engrossed in their work, a true testament of faith. It was their greatest honor to be selected for the Oracle. The Oracle's fate will be tabled for a future discussion. We have more important issues at hand. 87 souls reside with the Great Serpent now. Many were some of the finest scientific minds House Varun had to offer. They will be remembered alongside those we lost here in Dasra. Of course. Oh, it was breathtaking. A true testament to the will of Jinan Varun and our faith in the Great Serpent. To have started from nothing and to have accomplished so much. I pray to the Serpent that we can someday reclaim all that we have lost. I was outside the city, visiting a friend at his farm. We saw the flash of light from inside, and by the time we made it outside, you know, in that moment, I worried it was my fault. That I had somehow not been faithful enough, that I had not believed. I still find myself worrying that we are being punished, that we have affronted the Great Serpent in some way, and that this is our penance.
Good to see you.
Do you know the scientists out at Hamadi Station?
The old married couple? Azad and Shireen, if I remember right. I've met them a few times. They seemed a little eccentric, but were otherwise quite nice.
That's them, yes. They're apparently looking for some help with their research. They made some kind of discovery that has them troubled.
Good luck finding help at a time like this.
Indeed. Yet the serpent provides for the faithful, so who knows?
Nothing is truly impossible.
We have displeased the Great Serpent, so do not agitate him any further.
Let's just go home.
Alana, you were just complaining about there being nothing to do at home.
No, you're the one that wanted to play.
Yeah, because you wouldn't stop complaining. So, are we gonna play again or what?
No. It's no fun when it's just us.
Hi, I'm Mila. I'm Ivali.
And I'm Alana. We're bored. Bored!
Yeah, and our parents won't play with us. I mean, Alana and I's parents. Mila doesn't have parents anymore.
Ivali?
Oh, sorry, Mila. It's okay, really. I've been trying to keep these two entertained, but I guess I'm not doing the best job. Would you like to play a game of hide and seek with us? Please, please! It's no fun playing with just these two. They always pick the same places to hide. Great! How fun! Now, just wait here a bit so we have a chance to hide. Count down from 10 or something. Ha! You'll never find us!
Great Serpent, please help me. I am
Vindicator?
terrified.
I'm hungry.
Welcome. I was hoping you would eventually stumble into my shop. Welcome. Well, yes. I realize others might treat people such as yourself with skepticism and distrust, but my opinions differ. You've clearly been chosen by the Great Serpent, sent here to help us in our time of need. In my mind, to treat you with anything but respect would be ignorant. Oh, yes. I imagine it's been difficult for you. It's rare that an off-worlder finds their way to Dazra. But not just any off-worlder. One that's able to speak with Anasko Varun himself, which in the eyes of the citizens of Dazra moves you up from the suspiciously curious category to the dangerously unique one. Where are my manners? I'm Nalada Brady. Forgive me for not starting our conversation that way. I've been a bit distracted of late. My brother Qasim has been missing for days. I'm beginning to worry that something terrible has happened to him. Well, yes, but the incident that claimed most of Dazra was several weeks ago. Qasim and I were fortunate that our shop wasn't destroyed like so many others around us. Yes, thank you. But my problems need not burden you. If you want to take a look at what my shop has to offer, well, you let me know. Anything I can do to help. Come in, come in. My mother taught me to try and provide a smiling, friendly face for my customers, but it's been incredibly difficult. I managed to muddle through when the incident struck the city, but this situation with Qasim has made things difficult. Really? You'd do that for me? Oh, you truly are a gift from the Great Serpent. I knew he hadn't forsaken us. Oh yes, of course. The last time I heard from Qasim, he was headed out to the Deep Gorge refinery to assess if it could be reopened. He never came back that evening. I've been worried sick. Of course, how would you know about that place? It's an old mineral processing facility a good distance to the southeast of Dazra. It closed down years ago due to... I'm not even sure why. It ran out of resources, I think. There was very little talk about it around town. Impossible. Despite what's happened in Dazra, Qasim has been in good spirits of late. No, if anything, I'm afraid he's been injured and can't make the journey home. Or worse. Now that you mention it, someone in the city said that they felt tremors near that area. Just please be careful. That old refinery has been abandoned for years, and there's no telling what might be choosing to call the facility its home. Now, is there anything you might need for your journey? Not much more other than what I've already told you. The only silver lining from the refinery shutdown was that all of the workers were placed into other positions throughout the city, so no one went hungry. The cataclysm that claimed most of Dazra has severely impaired our ability to survive on Varun Kai. Qasim is simply trying to use his engineering background to help everywhere that he can. In this case, he's trying to assess if the refinery can be reopened. He strongly believes that the loss of the city's infrastructure means we need to rely on everything we can in order to get back on our feet. Do you mean to ask if it's a sore subject to bring up since he's missing? Not at all. Qasim and I have been close ever since we were young. Our father and mother taught us everything we needed to know about running this shop so that one day we could take over. When they passed, Qasim and I ran the business for a few years together, but I could see his heart was elsewhere. I gave him my blessing, and he attended an engineering academy. In a few more years, he graduated and made quite a name for himself. When the government reached out to everyone for help after the incident, I wasn't the least bit surprised he was the first to volunteer. I can only pray that his eagerness hasn't gotten him into deep trouble. Take care of yourself.
I am trying to keep strong, but I fear I may be losing my mind.
Malibor may trust you, but to me, you are still an outsider.
Obedience is paramount.
I hope things go back to normal soon.
Hope you can succeed at that before we are discovered.
Yes?
Were our sins really so
This
great?
is unreal. The view of the Citadel from this plaza was never so clear. So many buildings used to be in the way.
Do you truly have no shame, Amir? No shame at all. What you have done goes beyond disgraceful. It is morbid, disgusting. You should be hanging your head in shame, but instead here you are, acting like a common fool.
Borhal, calm down. Do not do this here.
How shameful of you to have these outbursts. Oh my, what would poor mother and father think?
You will speak not of mother and father, you sloughing bastard. No shame. No shame at all. What a waste of good life that they worked tirelessly to give you.
Mother and father spat on the ground I walked on. You were their pride and joy. Oh, good, generous Borhal. Always the paragon, the keeper of our family name.
I am disgusted to call you brother. It would be best for all of us if by some miracle you were to drown in one of those bottles of Koza you are so infatuated with.
Ugh, with a brother like you, is it any wonder I am driven to drink?
Are you done? Both of you. Will you calm down?
You should be addressing the brute here. He is the one making the scene.
I am causing a scene because you tried to sell Mother's urn, with Mother still in it.
I was not thinking. It was a mistake.
That is precisely the sloughing problem, Amila. You are never thinking. You are too much of a drunken fool to think. Apparently you are not even above selling the remains of dear Mother to fund your habit.
It was a mistake. And you are going to condemn me for the rest of my life over a mistake?
Perhaps I should. Do you truly have no shame, Amila? No shame at all. What you have done goes beyond disgraceful. It is morbid.
What? What do you want? That is what I have been saying, but nobody listens to me.
Please accept my apologies. I caught my brother attempting to do something unspeakable, and I could not contain my anger.
Oh yes, go on. Invite a total stranger into our family squabbles.
This is no squabble, you pompous fool. What you have done today is abhorrent. I can forgive stealing my money or pawning my valuables. What I cannot abide, however, is you attempting to sell Mother's urn with her remains still within.
I have done many things I am not proud of, but I have never stooped as low as that.
I was drunk, I did not know. All of those vases appeared the same.
It is an urn, not a vase, you ignoramus. And you were the one who chose it when Mother passed away. I am tired of your shamelessness, and I am done bearing what should be your indignity. Do you hear me? I am done. You have gone too far this time, Amila, and I cannot bear the humiliation of being your brother any longer. I challenge you to a duel. Danica shall be my second.
What? Are you mad?
Borhall, are you sure? There is already so much death in the city. What good would this do? There has to be another way.
Too late, Danica. He has issued his challenge. I accept. In fact, look forward to it. You shall be my second. No, why not you? You seem capable and trustworthy.
The true answer is because Emila has no one, family or otherwise, willing to be his second. He has burned every bridge there is to burn. He will have to resort to picking someone off the street regardless, so it may as well be you.
I do not want to wait any longer than necessary. If you agree to this, you will allow us to come to an immediate resolution. I will pay you handsomely for that.
Our job is to make preparations and ensure fairness on both sides. We shall have different duties between the two of us, but our aim is to prepare the site of the duel, weapons, ceremonies, and discourage any ambushes.
No. I believe we have just passed the point of no return.
I would not have proposed the duel unless I were fully committed to it. I am well past the point of compromising. Then it is settled. Outsider, you will work alongside Danica to prepare for the duel. As for you, Emila, enjoy these last few moments, for when we next meet, your shameful life ends.
Do not sound so confident, brother.
Their family home is this way.
Give me
it
the
is not
strength
far.
to do
We can
what must
discuss
be
the
done.
matters there. You will be working with me. As seconds, it is our duty to prepare for the duel and ensure fairness. I am sorry that you have found yourself in this situation. But know that you are doing Emila a great favor. He truly has no one else who would be willing to do this for him. He has burned every bridge imaginable. It seems that after years of
cannot
suffering
wait to be
Emila's embarrassments, Borhall has reached the boiling point. But still, to challenge your brother to a duel... I pray that we will be able to work towards a peaceful resolution before it's too late.
The Great Serpent will deliver us from this. I know it.
I got you your favorite from the meat house. Extra fatty, just the way I like.
we end up here?
You want to eat it now? This need me for something? Are you ready to discuss our rules? Oh, they are deadly serious. Borhall would have not dared to challenge Emila if not. The Odlum family has held duels in the past. It is something of a family tradition. Yes, there was a duel between their two great-grandfathers, I believe. From what Borhall has told me, it began as a property dispute. Their uncle died in a duel after being challenged by their grandfather. He was accused of stealing family heirlooms. History, it seems, repeats itself. It is our duty to prepare for the duel by procuring weapons and preparing for any ceremonies, as well as ensuring a fair fight. Importantly, we are not expected to engage in any combat, unless, of course, we are staving off an ambush. In short, we are to guarantee that the duel proceeds without issue. Yes, and it seems that the cycle will continue. Unless you are able to get the brothers to agree to a peaceful resolution. Very good. Let us begin. Your primary duty as Emila's second is to work with the brothers and see if a peaceful conclusion is possible. Namely, if Emila apologizes to Borehole and he accepts, the duel may not move forward. As for me, I will be procuring the weapons for the duel and the materials for the preceding ceremony. Borehole as challenger reserves the right to choose the weapons, and he has chosen blades. Do you have any concerns? I will note your concern, but know that Borehole has the final say. If that is all, we will break here and see to our duties. Before that, though, I know that this duel is foolish. I am sorry you got pulled into this. I will try and find another peaceful solution to this problem, should you be unsuccessful in convincing them to call it off. Duels were quite common 100 years ago, but have become more rare with each passing generation. At this point, the Odlum family is the only one that still takes part in this custom. Emila has the right to deliver a genuine apology to Borehole and stop this duel before it commences. The odds of him doing so, however, are low. The Odlum brothers, like their ancestors, are stubborn and prideful. Report back to me when you have spoken with the brothers. We will discuss your secondary duty then.
If you break one or more legs, I am not carrying.
Salutations.
Vindicator. You have no place in our city. Were it not for the council, you would be cut down. As you should. Get away from me, Husk. You have no place in our city.
It is comforting to see that at least some places can maintain a degree of normalcy.
And what about this talk of missing supplies? I would think the conversation starts there.
I apologize, but with the cataclysm, the investigation has been slow going.
How convenient.
You're putting the growth before the horns! The issue is not the supplies, it's the workforce! This may sound radical, but if we could reunite with some of the exiles from House Malene...
Careful, Envoy. It means nothing if those who lend a hand are holding a knife.
Not to mention, they're completely sloughing mad. What? Too soon? It's only been about 50 years.
For now, let me see what I can find out regarding the missing supplies. It's possible they were lost in the tragedy along with everything else, but I don't know for sure. Once that is sorted, we can revisit this debate.
Of course.
Vindicator. Oh, the usual politics. Everyone has an opinion, nobody has a consensus. It's exhausting. The only thing the houses have ever been good at is pointing fingers. Mine's coiled and ready. Is yours? Yes, you might say that. But I like a challenge. Sometimes tragedy is an opportunity to advance. Especially if the vortex swallows a direct superior or two. I am a member of House Vethal, stationed at the keep. Our job, to make sure everyone is working and committed to the cause. If someone has a crisis of faith, we simply remind them the importance of their role. As the saying goes, all must serve. Well, the keep is where the army of House Va'ruun has been traditionally armed and trained. To fight and conquer will always be a part of our culture. Even in peacetime, the serpent is coiled and ready to strike. Well, I was in Jinan Plaza and had a full view of the whole thing. It was spectacular. A wave of energy sweeping over the city, eating everything in its path. The destruction alone was impressive. But what I'll always remember is the noise. The vortex itself moved swiftly, darkly. But the sound of it was a slow hum. Deliberate. I can't explain it any other way. Like thunder rolling after the lightning. The power of the great serpent. Unleashed. Remember, Chosen. None but the faithful are promised tomorrow.
If you have business with House Kadik, speak to Razma. So you overheard us. Well then, let me answer your question with a question. Do you think the cycle of violence can be broken? Or are some conflicts absolute? I wholeheartedly agree. We do not have to forgive, but we can let go. And why continue to fight if the reason for conflict is no longer an issue? Let's just say recent events have reminded me of an old parable about a father and two sons. The eldest son was dutiful, the youngest disobedient. But the father loved both equally, and the eldest resented this. One day, the youngest falls into a pit of quicksand. The eldest, filled with bitterness and anger, ponders, leaving him to die. The parable ends here, leaving the reader to contemplate the end. But I imagine that only by working together can a family prosper. And the alternative brings us both to ruin. I concur, and the infighting serves only to weaken House Va'ruun and Dazra. In my argument back there, I advocated for more workers, even if it meant reaching out to our enemies. And yes, I understand the reluctance with House Malin. Their crimes go beyond forgiveness. But I'm also not campaigning to conscript their soldiers. We need workers, healers, and engineers. People who can help rebuild Dazra, not tear it down. They are the ones commonly known as zealots, fanatics who believe peace should never have been made with the settled systems. But to assume any group is a monolith is absurd. Reconciliation with the hardliners should be off the table, but we can find members within who are willing to abandon the Serpent's crusade. I'm surprised such a question can be asked with the city in such disarray. The problems are obvious, and yet those in power continue to emphasize patience and measured responses. Now is not the time for red tape. The more caution we exercise, the more people will suffer. With regards to politics, these days I'm mostly an advisor. I focus on high-level concepts and strategies as opposed to the day-to-day operations. I let my ward Okeem handle all of that. He sends me proposals, I weigh in, and give my approval. I've even made him captain of my ship, the Cortege. I joke that I'm mostly a glorified rubber stamp. But my days working the field are over. Oh, I assure you it was 100% personal. Davina and I have history. She blames me for derailing her political ambitions. Without getting too caught in the seaweed, a long time ago, I received some bad intel from a source on a zealot hideout. Davina used that intel to launch an attack and ended up taking out a camp of civilians. The incident was high profile, and the fault was attributed mostly to her. She's never forgiven me for it, and I fail to see why. It's petty and unprofessional for someone of her position. I was at the spaceport, attending to business. I only witnessed the crest of the vortex emanating from the scaled citadel. It lasted only a moment. A flash in the sky. It was only the hours afterward that we understood the consequences of that moment. Until we meet again.
First the cataclysm, now this. There's too much going on right now. The accident has strained our supply chain on a number of fronts. Envoy Kadik argues it's a problem of manpower. Warden Bethal says it's a problem of resources. I had hoped we would have solved the supply issue by now, but there's been a complication. Pray that I could, but right now I need more time, not less. I'm sorry if I seem a bit flustered. Things have been chaotic since the cataclysm, and now word of missing supplies. But that doesn't excuse my rudeness. Let me at least introduce myself. My name is Kezrani Dulkef. I work as an executor for House Dulkef. Members of House Dulkef who handle trade in and out of Dazra. We are part of the Ministry of Commerce, but our building was lost in the cataclysm. Likewise, and I'm well aware of who you are. Word of the first convert in generations is on everyone's lips these days. But I'm sure you are busy getting adjusted to life here. Is there anything I can help you with? Trouble only begins to describe it. It's about the supply shortage. There may be a reason for it beyond the cataclysm itself. A week ago, my cousin Ukaru came to my office concerned about a series of lost shipments. He was certain someone was using the tragedy as cover to steal supplies and route them to our enemies. I'm not sure. The message was vague, and there are many who would want to do us harm. Agreed. It is difficult to believe, and as such, the proof must be ironclad. So I told my cousin to return with more evidence, and when I didn't hear back, I assumed that was the end of it. But this morning, I received a slate from a courier. It was from Ukaru. It was worrying, to say the least. It felt like Ukaru was trying to warn me. The contents were cryptic. He mentions a possible conspiracy and being followed and, well, I hate to say it, but I'm starting to panic. He hasn't shown up to work in days, and the timing of all this feels suspicious.
A sudden absence would give credence to the idea he was followed.
Agreed. Ukaru was extremely punctual. An absence like this is very unlike him. But if he is in danger, I don't know if it's safe for me to investigate. I need someone disconnected from the noble houses. Vital supplies for the city, which given the cataclysm is a wide breadth of things. Construction materials, medical kits, food. The loss of all this is a great cause for concern, given the state of the city. The slate Okaru sent via courier is light on details, but he did say that one of the noble houses may be involved, which, if true, would emphasize the need for discretion and an outside party. Okaru's workstation is likely your best bet. He's been working in the rehabilitation unit on the 3rd floor of the Halls of Healing. If you run into any issues with access, hand this slate to my fellow executors. Once you locate him, report back to me. I've got a meeting at House Kadik later, but I shouldn't be hard to track down. Hopefully you'll find my cousin alive and safe.
In the year 2240,
The great
House
serpent
Varun
saved
went to war
Dazra from
with the
sin.
Settled Systems.
You will see.
What has come to be known as the Serpent's Crusade.
Did we win?
Well, the Settled Systems think they did.
Why did we fight them again?
Jinan Varun believed that he was tasked by the Great Serpent to claim dominion over the galaxy. The Serpent's Crusade was an attempt to make that a reality.
What do you think of the Serpent's Crusade?
What do I think of it?
Yeah, do you think it was...
Yes, child. I know what they meant. And my answer is this. If Jinan Varun decided that the Crusade was necessary, then it was. The Great Serpent told him to do it after all, and we do not question the Great Serpent.
As much as I did
Great
not
Serpent
like
keep
it,
you.
I miss going to school.
My brother, Vindicator.
Were it not for the Council, you would be cut down, as you should.
will need to rely on...
Never in his worst nightmares could I imagine Jinan Varun saw a future like this.
Yes? Well, look who it is. You have made quite a stir, and given the state of things, that is a singular accomplishment. To what do I owe the honor, Vindicator? At the moment, obviously a great deal of nothing. Have the High Council to thank for that. Politics and expedience rarely pair well. Did he now? How magnanimous. But approval is approval, and I will gladly take it. I will spare you much of the technical detail, as I confess that pieces of it I barely understand myself. One cannot help but notice the energy field around the Scaled Citadel. Until we can get through it, we cannot shut down the experiment inside, and it has proved quite impossible to get through. We had the beginnings of a plan to build a makeshift contraption to redirect grav drive energy to see if we could penetrate the barrier, but the project came to a halt. Politics got in the way.
I can imagine that without the speaker to issue clear directions, things have been difficult.
Every one of the houses needs to contribute, and every one realized they could potentially use it for leverage. What should have been a cooperative effort turned contentious. Easy decisions became negotiations. And so, construction never began. We have sat here, staring at this disaster as supplies pile up for well over a week now. Serpent help us, it is infuriating. The Council just so happens to represent the 3 houses under Varun's banner, who are also entrusted with various aspects of running, well, everything. Each of those houses needs to contribute something to the project, so the Council is the final stopgap. Were the speaker here, he could bypass all of it with a wave of his hand, but, well, you have already seen the state he's in. I don't disagree, but allow me to impart some advice. Most would consider that disloyal, possibly even heresy. Keep that kind of talk to yourself. I believe I've done enough complaining for now. Time to get to work. If you're here, the Council has likely sent word to the houses that it's time to stop the infighting. I doubt it will be enough. I need to oversee construction here, make sure things are built to specifications. If you could follow up with the houses, that may speed up the process. I appreciate that someone around here is eager to get to work. House Fetal owes us access codes for the city power grid. It's the only way to guarantee enough power to activate the device. House Kadik was supposed to provide a young scientist named Sahima to help me. She had at least some experience with the original Citadel experiment. No idea why they refused to send her. And Hasmek, the new elder of House Dulkef, he has been distant, guarded. He claims to have vital information about an important component of the experiment, but has withheld it until now. Help me get what we need, and we will see what we can do for the Speaker, and for House Varun. And I may have something that can help you in whatever trials the Serpent puts before you as we navigate this. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. If only there were some less disastrous way we could have discovered all this. Yes, exactly. I am glad I am not the only one who can see that. Does nothing to make the loss any easier, but still. We have encountered several interesting phenomena. First, while the phantoms shift to a fully human form when killed, they often retain small shards that appear to be an almost crystallized version of vortex energy. Second, we have learned that killing the phantoms sometimes causes an even greater disturbance. Horrors, as they have been colloquially termed, can appear from somewhere. We are unsure of their origin, but it is not within our universe. These horrors and their spawn are infested with cysts, a seemingly organic manifestation of vortex energy. We have managed to collect enough to run experiments and have devised a method of combining them into an explosive mixture with varying properties. While they have no use in the development of the morning device, if you find yourself out in the field, I believe they could have more practical applications. The process is simple enough that any industrial workstation should suffice, if you have the materials. And, depending on how you combine said materials, you may find the results to be somewhat variable. I hope you can use that to your advantage. Just look around. I'm sure you have at least some idea of how much we have physically lost. A huge portion of the city is just gone. And those left behind are struggling. Supplies are limited. There is so much work to be done, and we are all just so tired. I hope that eventually we can return things to the way they were, but we must be realistic. That will take time, and I suspect a great deal of it. Not enough to have prevented it from happening. If I had any idea it was going to turn out like this, It had been Inasco's primary goal for some time. A way to recreate Jinan Varun's encounter with the Great Serpent. Everything we knew about grav drive technology, every scientific advancement we'd made in the last 100 years was poured into it. Towards the end, I was just so exhausted. I asked for a brief time off. Had I not, I would be trapped in there with the rest of the science team. Of course not. I left the project weeks before the disaster, and at that point, we were nowhere near ready. Some breakthroughs were made shortly thereafter, and they ran the experiment. And here we are. Yes, depending on how much trouble you're getting into. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research, when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. If only there were some less disastrous way we could have discovered all this. Yes, exact does nothing. We have encountered. Second, these horror. We have managed to... Well, the process is simple and depend...
Remember this. We are always watching.
Problem?
House Kadik seems to have remained largely unscathed. How fortunate for them. Did something catch your eye? Or are you just checking? Hopefully the soldiers are all out on missions or patrols and not gone.
All I am saying is that I am not pleased with the recent outsider influence. I am sure you know what I am referring to.
Yes, I understand, and I agree with you. The first outsider in generations, and they are welcomed with open arms. What the hell are you going on? Sure, they are not an off-worlder spy.
Perhaps this is the first wave of an impending cultural infiltration. The settled systems are scared of us, and so they are trying to tame us from within.
Indeed. I fear that even darker days may be ahead for House Varun. Enough. Get a hold of yourself.
We will not let those days come to pass.
Unbecoming of a soldier.
All must serve.
It will take more than this to break us. Vindicator.
Vindicator?
Vindicator. Ourselves lucky.
I understand, but everyone is simply gone. What did they do to draw the serpent's ire?
There was no ire. They simply did their duties as a soldier. Our time will come eventually.
Not too soon, I pray. By the
Seems
serpent,
the great
you were
serpent
the
has
one
chosen
who spoke
to
with
spare
an
us. But for how long?
Apologies, but you're not cleared to purchase from me yet. Sorry, but you will have to get approval before you can buy any weapons from me.
Be mindful of your actions. Heresy and treason are one and the same. His eyes are always watching. Something disrupts Victor's work. I pray his focus returns soon. Vindicator.
All must serve. Remain ever vigilant. Heresy must be exposed.
This is foolish, Victor. The High Council needs access to the power grid if we hope to restore the city. Your inability to provide a legitimate excuse for denying them will only last so long.
Since the incident, full dedication is even more necessary.
I know you're angry, but you can't let personal matters interfere with what may be best for everyone.
Personal matters? This is a Ministry of State matter, and I will handle it as I see fit. He is a traitor. He turned his back not only on his family, but on our people's entire belief system. The fact that he still breathes is a stain upon the House Vethal name.
You would doom us all with your pride.
I will do as I please as head of this house. If you are not a member of House Vethal, you do not belong here. Another High Council lackey come begging? I told Lovick no more!
Forgive my brother. He has been forgetting his manners of late. Victor, this is Anaskel's chosen. You recall Lovick sent word.
I recall he spoke of a newly anointed promised. And we do not need help, especially from an outsider.
You can't continue to refuse the council. You must act. Your inaction is killing you.
Precisely, which is why he leaves me no choice but to say this. My nephew Varric has left, and until he returns, Victor refuses to assist the council.
These are hardly matters for the ears of an outsider. And who are you to tell me what is vital and what is not? You are an outsider. You have no understanding of our house. What would my son, my successor, the heir to House Vethal have to do with house politics? Even someone with basic political knowledge should realize his importance. Worse, have you seen Dazra? How can things get any worse?
Is this not the opportunity you've been looking for, brother? A third party capable of finding Varric?
Yes, you said so yourself. Someone with no loyalties to speak of. And if he's become promised, truly his arrival is more than coincidence.
Serpent, give me strength. You both speak true. Perhaps I have reacted in haste. Tell me, Vindicator, are you well practiced in discretion? Good. I can appreciate a monetary understanding, and to ensure you keep your word, you will receive payment afterwards. As Vittoria mentioned, my son, Varric, has left. Essentially, he has abandoned his post. And not only did he turn his back on his house, but the great serpent as well. He is a traitor and must be dealt with as such.
Victor, surely you don't mean it.
He does, Luther. He is allowing his fervent pride and anger to cloud his judgment. What my brother is trying to say is that he wishes his own son dead. First, we lose Vashti to that malignance tearing through Dazra. And now you so willingly offer up Varric. As if our house has not suffered enough loss already.
Because he let his weakness get the better of him. He sees himself as a prisoner in this life. He runs from a duty that others would spend their lives coveting. He is my son. He does not get to choose. He was born to inherit my title, and he knows the punishment for refusing to honor it. My son denounced the very faith that defines Varun's society. He dared to blame Anasko for the state of Dazra. Dared to call our faith in the Great Serpent blind. It is heresy and punishable by death. I will not speak of her with an outsider, promised or not. Your focus is solely on Vedic. Of course it would. As someone from the settled systems, you have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. I do not wish Vedic dead, but as head of the Ministry of State, he left me no choice. All must serve. Those who refuse will be met with death. Our duty as wardens is to keep the populace tasked and loyal. All must serve, both the Great Serpent and House Varun. No exceptions. Those who refuse must be cleansed to stop the spread of corruption. The shame Vedic brought upon this house is immeasurable. It stains the very foundation. I will not act until this house is in order and its members are properly aligned with the Great Serpent. I will not have it known that I declared my own son a heretic and allowed him to escape our grasp. This knowledge weakens the Ministry of State's authority, something we cannot risk at this time. This is why my interest turned to a third party, someone outside of the noble houses, but we have yet to determine someone trustworthy enough. Until now. Exceptions show weakness, and we cannot afford to show weakness at a time like this.
We have done the same for less. You act as if death is the only answer. What about forgiveness?
I will not risk the Ministry's authority on the actions of my own son, even if he is my chosen heir. If the High Council wants my cooperation, I need you to find Vedic and carry out his sentence.
And I would ask you to spare him. My brother is acting under impulse, not reason.
I have never been more clear. Speak against me one more time, and you will regret it. Vedic has a signet ring with House Vithal's family crest. Bring it to me as proof of death. Only then will I grant you access to the power grid. See that you get it done. I recommend you start by speaking to patrons of the Herald's Rest. Some of Vedic's associates there may know where he went, but keep in mind, anyone who has directly aided him in hiding is an accomplice and shares his fate. The Herald's Rest is our local bar, and unfortunately, my son's favorite establishment to frequent. And while I know a bar isn't the ideal place for discretion, I still expect you to keep these matters private. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Vedic. See to it you do. All anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Vedic for personal reasons. I will not risk word of his disappearance getting out before I can say the situation has been handled.
So many lives lost. This family can't afford another. You don't know Victor Vithal. He may be the most stubborn man in Dazra next to Anasko Varun himself, but that doesn't mean we won't try. He adores Varric, and if he died without reconciling their differences, I think it would break him. He never got to say goodbye to Vashti, and he hasn't taken it well. Our house was taken during the incident. Our losses are great. Vashti being foremost in our minds. Excuse me. I'd rather not speak about it. Varric is a dreamer who let his fascination with the settled systems get the best of him. You could always tell his heart wasn't into learning about Varun society, noble houses, ministries, Dazra. He was a devout student, but none of it interested him. The only lessons that truly fascinated him were about space and exploration. Vashti was Victor's daughter. We lost her in the accident. She and Varric were very close. She was his anchor and voice of reason. I truly believe if she was still with us, Varric would be too. Whatever happened to Dazra, our home was taken along with it. Victor felt the keep was the most logical place to stay until more long-term plans were able to be made. The Ministry of State oversees military and security, so we already have established offices here. Vindicator.
Remember, Vindicator, that I would ask you to spare my nephew. Vashti was my niece. Victor's daughter. Varric's sister. We lost her to the devastation that took half of our great city. Victor will barely speak of her. I think he cannot reconcile the loss with his faith. Victor is letting his emotions get the better of him. He was barely processing the shock and grief from losing Vashti. Then came the anger and betrayal from Varric. My brother is a man of pride and great faith. For the first time, I think he does not know what to do. But I am certain Victor does not wish Varric dead. As head of the Ministry of State, Victor feels he has no choice. He believes he is trapped by his own faith and duty. If he makes an exception for his son, and the truth comes out, people will see it as weakness. They will question the Ministry of State's authority, which means they are questioning him. Something his pride would never risk. On the other hand, going through with it, announcing it to the public, that solidifies the Ministry of State as a force to be both feared and revered. Is it not obvious? He has given you the perfect out, the ring. Yes, Varric would be loath to part with it. It belonged to his sister and is all he has left. But to save his life? To save her brother? Vashti would give him her blessing to hand it over if you asked. This is why I ask you to spare him. And I pray I have answers for you. Varric was an obedient child. Quiet. Always absorbed in his studies to please his father. But the two have clashed ever since Varric sacrificed his growth. He found his voice that day, and to Victor's dismay, he wanted no part of being elder. Varric is conflict averse. Pressure, responsibility, stress. He avoids them like the plague. He wants everyone's approval, and as elder, that is an impossible task. I believe it is why he has fled. He made his final stand against his father, and rather than face the disapproval, he disappears. Victor's pride and belief in tradition will not allow it. He sees Varric's refusal to inherit the role of elder as an insult, and many would share that view. Victor was too lenient with him when it came to Varric's free time. As strict as he was, he allowed him the freedom to associate with whomever he wanted. I think too much time at the Heraldress showed Varric a different life is possible, when it's not. Not for him. All Varun children raise a growth, and when they come of age, they sacrifice it. It is our way of solidifying our connection with the Great Serpent. All must serve, and our dedication to him comes above all else. What would you like to know? As a high-ranking member of the Ministry of State, I fully support the policies. But I also recognize these circumstances are not normal. Exceptions must be made in trying times. All must serve.
I, too, would ask you spare Varric. Victor is in no condition to be making such decisions.
Promised.
Vindicator. Mujin? Mujin. Who is that again? Oh, of course, the gentleman from House Kadik. I forgot he was even alive. In my defense, he's incredibly boring.
Serpent's blessings. I have come to
Until
inquire
next
about the
time,
report I sent
Chosen.
you.
I have, and I believe your investigation to be true. As sad as it may be.
Thank you. Additional perspectives help me recognize I am on the right path.
The heresy comes in many forms. I've come to learn its many guises. Well done, Warden.
Say something if you see things worth investigating.
Will I ever see my family again?
I'm sorry.
Do not move. You have committed a grave offense, citizen.
I am sorry, please, have mercy. I am starving, I cannot sleep. I cannot think due to my hunger.
You are not the only one suffering. Your actions have deprived another of precious food. You will await your punishment at the security center. Come along.
No, no, please!
Move!
I have not seen my sister in days. Great Serpent, I pray nothing has happened to her.
I am not sure what to make of you.
Everything we have ever worked for, gone in an instant.
We will rebuild, darling. Everything will be all right. I promise you. It was not a very nice home anyway, huh?
Your jokes are not helpful.
I apologize. I am just trying to put a smile on that face. It has been so long since I have seen you smile.
I do not understand. How are you like this? How can you be so relaxed? We are homeless.
The house and our belongings, they were nice, and I do miss them. But they are not you. You, my love, are my strength. As long as I have you, nothing can break me. Everything will be all right, love. I promise you.
You're romantic. You always know what to say. I am glad to still have you by my side.
My father has been gone for a while. I hope he's okay.
Our sins must have been considerable.
Welcome here.
I am growing tired of this. A few months ago, I would have made you all regret treating me this way.
Say that again. Go on, then. Keep making your threats.
Save your bullets, damned fool. I am going.
Do
What
not
do you want?
agitate the locals. Many have already lost everything. They need no further troubles.
You are the one who spoke with Nasko Varun. And you wish to speak with me. You misunderstand. No one in Dazra speaks with me, or even acknowledges my existence. If they do, it is with scorn. And yet, here you are, speaking with me as if I were a person. Which begs the question, what do you want with me? Who sent you? I am not welcome in Dazra. Guards demanding my removal is about the only acknowledgement I garner. The details of that commotion, however, do not presently concern you. If that is true, we should continue this conversation elsewhere. Meet me at my shack outside of Dazra. You cannot miss it.
Zealots cannot be trusted. This one is no different.
We will get to know each other well, just not here. My home is away from prying eyes and judgment. I do not wish for people to disparage you for associating with me. Good. I look forward to having a real conversation. First one in months.
Catastrophic damage.
Profit is never necessarily the aim, but if there is something worth taking... the opportunist, aren't you? You drive. I get too much road rage.
predator, for instance. Can you defend us? They usually avoid humans. It's very strange.
Thank you. They came out of nowhere. Thanks for the help.
They've never attacked us before. I don't understand.
I will let you steer. This could be producing any number of materials or goods. Care to take a guess on what it might be?
Enough! Our orders are to stay here. This place will collapse at any moment. What reason did we have to turn that drill back on? We are not to ask questions. Patience, brother. And have faith. Patience will be our death sentence.
How quick can you get that done?
The serpent shows no mercy! You're losing this fight!
Extra ammunition is always welcome if they have any.
You will be judged, heathen. For this time.
should move on. There's nothing worth taking. You are a welcome diversion. What have you got for me? Stay safe. This reminds me of a food processing plant I once visited. They were using local fauna, and the smell was... well, you had to be there. Shame. Can't just break it open. A pleasure. If I can take a few things, I will. Very good. Whoever laid claim to this place seems to be long gone. I also wish to be prepared for any situation, but there are practical limits, no?
Warning. My sensors are picking up suspicious activity. We are taking damage. Greetings of House Owner. Beginning combat protocol circuit. Error. Processors.
Best not to leave anything useful behind.
In ranged attack. Heretics. Be advised that this is now a combat zone. Heretics. Identify. Down. This unit can
Not everything in the galaxy needs to come with us, you know.